Transformers 96 here with another, this is actually my it's just summer movie overview of, the villains for the summer. So yeah, so I've done this the past 2 years. This is my third one that I've done, and this is for 2013, of course. And, the villains this year to talk about are General Zod, Faora, Silver Samurai, the Mandarin, the Extremis soldiers, Aldrich, Killian, and Viper. So yeah, so a decent amount of villains this year. Some good, some not so good, some strange. There's a lot to talk about. So let's just start it off with let's just do it by the movie that came out. The first movie that came out that had a supervillain in it was Iron Man 3, and of course the villain was the Mandarin, Aldrich, Killian, and the Extremis soldier. Starting off with the Mandarin. If, this is all spoiler review too, so just, if you haven't seen any of these movies, don't watch this because I'm going to spoil all of them, so yeah. So, starting off with the Mandarin, if the Mandarin was, if he actually was the Mandarin and he wasn't the actor, I would have absolutely loved the Mandarin. Before we found out about the whole twist, I loved the Mandarin. He was so cool in the movie, and although I wasn't liking the movie so much in the theater, there was a part in the movie where I was just like, well, I'm not liking this movie too much, but if there's one thing that's good about it, it's the villain. I really love the Mandarin. And then they totally screw that up because they're just great people over there. So yeah, so the Mandarin would have been awesome, but he turned out to be a joke. And so much so, because a lot of people like the Mandarin, and because of the whole joke and everything, they're still making the Mini-Mates, still making the 6-inch, and still making a Hot Toys version of the Mandarin, and all three of them have him as, the villain. He has, samurai swords and stuff, because people want him to be the villain, and people, considered him the villain. So even though he's not the villain, people still think of him as the villain. So we are getting a lot of toys of him because he is still the villain in people's minds. I really wish that didn't happen. I wish I didn't even see the movie so I could still go on believing that the Mandarin was the villain, because he was super cool in the beginning of that movie. So a huge disappointment. What are you gonna do? The Extremis soldiers, they were, fake, of course, because they're all humans that breathe fire and can burn things, and that has nothing to do with the cure, because of course they're just regrowing limbs, and that turns them into lava monsters. Who the hell knows? I don't know what that has any correlation to each other. They didn't even try to explain why that was happening. It just happened. So just really bad. I mean, I did not like the Extremis soldiers. They were stupid. They weren't the worst, but hey, if you need an army, I guess that's how you got your army that could fight the armors. So what are you gonna do? A stupid, cheap way to do it. If they even tried to explain it, it might have made sense and it might have been, good. Aldrich Killian was horrible. I don't know him from the comic books at all. I Google searched him and only found one picture of him in the comics, and it was a very modern picture. It was just such a horrible character, and to make him the new villain in the movie was just awful. Some people will argue that he is the Mandarin, the real Mandarin, but that is just stupid. I'm gonna use the Ra's al Ghul example because in that movie they did pretty much the same thing. They had Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul died, and then at the end you found out that somebody else was actually Ra's al Ghul. That worked because the person who took over as Ra's al Ghul fit the characters, all of his aspects. He fit him perfectly, and then he was Ra's al Ghul. You can't just call another character the Mandarin and have him have none of the Mandarin's qualities other than a couple dragon tattoos that they put on him, Just really horrible. All the villains in Iron Man 3 were terrible. I hated the movie and I hate the director, and I'm gonna get some dislikes for that whenever I talk about Iron Man 3, but what are you gonna do? It's just the way I feel. I respect anybody's opinion towards the movie. Now going off to the second superhero movie, we've got Superman. So the villains in that were General Zod and Faora. Of course there are some others, but I'm not gonna talk about them. As far as General Zod, I was really hoping that he would be awesome, and I was expecting him to be awesome, and he was. He didn't disappoint me whatsoever. He was awesome, a fantastic villain of the year, really did love him. So cool, so strong, and just a great character. Absolutely loved him, and really just loved the character. As far as Faora, I wasn't expecting her to do much or to be in the movie that much. She totally was in the movie a whole lot. She exceeded my expectations. I didn't expect her to do much, but she was really awesome in the movie. I love the character, and just super cool. So, just fantastic. As far as the Wolverine, Viper, I did not like Viper. I felt like the actor was overacting it, the actress. I felt like she watched Batman and Robin and tried to act like Poison Ivy. It was very overdone, very comic-y, and very, just cartoonish. Really did not like her representation of Viper. Overall, though, the Viper character was cool, but I just overall did not like Viper. Going on to Silver Samurai was done very differently from how he's done in the comics, but I still really liked him. I thought it was pretty cool. The person who was Silver Samurai was very predictable that it was him, so that wasn't like a big shocker for me or anything, but hey, it was still really well done. I love the suit. I thought that it was really cool and a really nice modern way to do it, as well as I love the way that he heated up his blades, because in the comic books, his blades have like magic powers and stuff. So in the movie, to make it look more realistic, but still have that same kind of attribute, they had the blades like heat up and stuff, which I thought was a really neat idea and was a really great way of doing it. So overall, I did like Silver Samurai. The characters I did like were Silver Samurai, General Zod, and Faora. The characters I didn't like, or kind of didn't like, was the Mandarin. I mean, I would have liked him if he was actually the Mandarin, but considering that he wasn't, I have to say the Mandarin, Aldrich, Killian, the Extremis soldiers, and Viper. So about half I liked, half I didn't like, some I hated, and overall, rather disappointing this year. One of the worst years for villains, in my opinion. DC won it this year. They won it last year with Bane, and the year before that, I can't remember. I think Red Skull was my favorite bad guy. So yeah. So unfortunately, Marvel, didn't do so good. The Wolverine did decent. The Iron Man 3 was horrible with the villains, and Superman was great. They did a lot of great villains, and I really did love it. Now, stick around. I'm going to talk about my predictions and my thoughts on next year's villains, as well as Malekith and the Dark Elves. I will just count them as next year. So a year from today, which should be August 1st when I'm posting this, is when I'll talk about Malekith and stuff, because the movie comes out in between summers. So, I have to just wait till the next one to talk about them. So yeah, so let me just talk about my predictions for next year's villains. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about my predictions for the villains of next year, and that's 2014's, or 2013 in the case of Thor, because Thor is coming out in between summers, so I'm going to be talking about it next year. So we've got Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, The Amazing Spider-Man, and X-Men Days of Future Past. So yeah, so there is also Transformers. I don't know, none of the villains have been confirmed other than I think Lockdown. I don't know of any other villains that are going to be in the movie, so I can't talk about Transformers at the moment. But I can talk about Marvel, whether it's owned by Marvel, Sony, or Fox. Those are the three, types of movies that are coming out. So to start off with X-Men Days of Future Past, we've got the Sentinel, big guy in the back. I absolutely really love the look of Sentinels. I think they're really cool. Those are characters I never thought would make it into a X-Men movie, other than, the head of a Sentinel in The Last Stand. I didn't think that they'd ever be in a movie, so to see them in a movie is going to be cool. I think that they can be done really neat and really modern and really realistic, or they can be done really cheesy and really not good. So I'm wary, but I think that they're going to be awesome, and I am quite excited to see them in a movie. We go off to Captain America. Captain America's got the Winter Soldier and Crossbones, possibly Red Skull. I say possibly Red Skull because, of course, he did not die in Captain America. He's a huge Captain America villain, and they are making at least one Red Skull toy for Captain America 2. So there is a chance that he will be in the movie. I think it would actually be logical for him to be in the movie, even if he's not a main character. It would make sense for him to be in the movie. So we possibly might see him. If we do, I'm excited, but we might not. Crossbones, I think, can be really cool. He's a pretty easy character to make realistic. He's pretty much just an assassin. I hope they keep the skeleton-like mask and the vest. I think that he would look really cool. That's Crossbones there. The Winter Soldier, I think that he's going to be quite predictable as a villain. He'll be like, the bad guy in the beginning of the movie, and then when Captain America realizes it's Bucky, and when Bucky realizes it's Captain America, and they kind of, have a connection, then he'll turn good. Here's Winter Soldier over there. So I don't think he'll be anything special, but I do like his costume. I think it looks really cool. On to Thor. I think that Loki, I've never been a big Loki fan. I mean, I think Tom Hiddleston's great as Loki, and I just never think Loki's very cool. He's always getting beat up. He's never winning, and he just seems so pathetic. But I think that he might change that, in my view, for Thor 2, because of course at I haven't seen it yet, because it's not out, but at Comic-Con they showed the footage where at the end of the trailer that they showed, Loki cuts off Thor's hand, so maybe Loki will step up and become a really cool badass villain. We'll have to see though. I do think that he might be really awesome though. Going to Guardians of the Galaxy, we've got Ronan, which I do not have a toy of because I just don't have any Ronan toys. I don't know much about him. In the comic book, he looks pretty cool, but I just do not know anything about him, so I really can't judge what I think he's going to be or how I think he's going to be. But he might be cool, he might not. We'll have to see till next year. Thanos, one of my all-time favorite villains. He will not be the main villain in Avengers 2. He will be the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if he'll be a main villain or if he'll be a side villain or if he'll just make an appearance, but he will be in Guardians of the Galaxy. That is confirmed. I think that he might be super awesome. Thanos is one of the most powerful Marvel characters of all time. He's probably in the top 5 most powerful ones. So to see him in a movie is going to be sick. They can do so much with him. They can make him such an amazing character, or they can really just shortcut him and not make him as cool as he is in the comic books. We'll have to see. I don't think that they do that though, because as long as somebody knows the importance of Thanos, I don't think that they just squander him in the movie. So I think that he will be really awesome. As we saw in Avengers 2, he does look really cool as far as his face. On to probably my most anticipated movie for 2014, which is Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan as far as I love the villains, so to talk about them is great. You've got Rhino right there, played by Paul Giamatti. I think Paul Giamatti is an excellent actor and can really harness, what Rhino's all about. I think that he looks really cool without seeing his Rhino look, because it's not finished yet, but he isn't going to be in the movie a whole lot, but I think that when he is in the movie, he's going to really steal the show, and he's going to be very cool, so I cannot wait to see him as the Rhino. Green Goblin, he will be making an appearance in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but he won't be like a main villain. He'll be pretty much the big villain in Amazing Spider-Man 3, apparently. He can be really cool. I've heard some rumors about how he's going to look, and I think that he has confirmed that he will have, green hair, which I think is going to look strange, and, I do not know who is going to be the Green Goblin. There's rumors flying around. Sorry about that, I ran out of space on the camera, but so rumors are flying around whether Green Goblin's going to be Harry Osborn or if he's going to be Norman Osborn. Nobody really knows. Some people are saying it's Norman, some people are saying it's Harry, just by people's responses, and, with the person pretty much that's going to play Black Cat, or these people think is going to play Black Cat. She said that she's dating the Green Goblin, which is very strange. So nobody knows who the Green Goblin is going to be pretty much at this moment. But I think that he can be a super cool villain, and they can do him a lot better than they did in Spider-Man, even though he was very cool in Spider-Man. Last but not least, we have the Electro, played by Jamie Foxx. This character, I love Electro from the comic books. He can be so cool. I am so looking forward to seeing what they can do with him. I've heard so many great things about this character. I've heard, seen some stuff. Of course, that new, promo video for Comic-Con came out with Electro in it. He looks really awesome. Apparently, the directors are pretty much saying that he will be like a god, which will be insane. I think it's going to be one of the most powerful villains of the summer. Spider-Man, he can't even touch him because he'll get electrocuted if he touches him. Electro will be able to go through sockets, apparently, and he will fly in the end battle. So he is just going to be one of those insane, awesome villains that I think could really steal the show and be incredible. I've heard a lot from I just said it, Jamie Foxx. He has said a lot about Electro, and he talks about him with a lot of passion, which I think is great. I think Jamie Foxx playing him is great. I've talked about what I thought about Electro and stuff in a previous vid, but I absolutely am ecstatically excited to see Electro. As much as I am to see, Thanos and Rhino and the Sentinel, I am absolutely more excited to see Electro. I think that he could be an insane villain that we'll remember for years to come. Cannot wait to see what they do with him, and they could really make it incredible. So there you go. So a lot of great villains. I think that next year is probably the best year for villains so far. 2015 is probably the best year for movies, but the villains I don't think will be as cool as this year, in my opinion, because the only one that we really know for 2015 is Ultron. I think Ultron can be sick, but I don't think that just him is going to be able to, take on all these guys. I think that these are going to be the cooler villains. So there you go. So those are my thoughts on the villains for next year, and I'll make another video next year. So there you go. Thank you for watching.